Hi guys, Jay Knowlton here once again, and first of all I just want to announce that I am moving all of my shorts about food and stuff to a new shorts channel. It's called Japan Food and Life. It's a bit simple. I've been advised that I should separate the long form videos and the shorts, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, onto the video. A lot of people talk about how Japan is a safe country to live in. And whilst that is kind of mostly true, if you like leaving your laptops in cafes, unfortunately, it's not safe for everyone. It's not always safe for women, especially on trains and in busy places, and drinking parties and stuff like that. Also, in households, families, there's a lot of domestic violence in Japan. And unfortunately, it is not always safe for children. Now, you might see a lot of things online about children going to school by themselves, and that's all fine and good. However, unfortunately, there are a lot of crimes that do involve children. You might have seen the news that's gone out recently about Yuki Adachi, the boy who was unfortunately unalived by his stepfather. And I'm sorry if I'm using terms that sound a bit like, the unalive and stuff. I just don't know what YouTube allows and doesn't allow. Unfortunately, I saw a news article today, which, to be honest, for me felt like a very Japanese news article. And there are so many stupid twists and turns that I want to go into. So first of all, this is taken from the Tokyo Reporter. So I will leave the link to the original article below in English. So it talks about how a woman in Fukuoka has been arrested for strangling her daughter, who was 4 years old, at a domestic violence shelter. Now, that part is going to be talked about later. Now, unfortunately, in Japan, there are a lot of news stories, unfortunately, about mothers unaliving their children, and then sometimes also themselves. Maybe due to depression, struggling, domestic violence from the husband. To be honest, I know childcare and raising children can be very, very hard. And if you live in a situation where you feel the weight of the world is on you, you're being attacked by somebody constantly, you might feel there's no hope in life, and the only way you can turn is this. And that's a really horrible thing that happens all over the world, even to this day. So she was arrested for doing something to her child. Now, there were 2 children who were found collapsed in the shelter. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Both of them were found, unfortunately, dead. Now, that is a horrible thing. They were in a shelter, so I would have hoped that there was support for the mother. Unfortunately, this is where it gets really, really awful. And when people do talk about how Japan is very, very safe, I hope they keep in mind there are some really terrible situations that happen to a lot of women and children all over the world. And also in Japan. Please don't forget that when you're saying how safe Japan is. She admitted to the allegation of strangling her daughter with an electric cord, but then also hinted to the strangulation of her 3-year-old daughter. Now, this is interesting because before she went into the shelter, she only had 1 child. And she moved into the shelter apparently in 2022. So almost 4 years ago, which is strange because one of the daughters is 3, born after she moved. Now, this is where it gets really, really horrible. She also tried to take her own life. She was unsuccessful. That happens quite a lot as well. Now, what was revealed is that during a press conference, the police revealed, I'm repeating the word revealed there, the husband had also been living in the domestic violence shelter with the mother and the 2 children. And the second child had been born after she had moved into the shelter because the husband was also living there. Now, keep in mind, this is a domestic violence shelter, which doesn't allow men to live there. So, somehow, this husband had managed to sneak in and live there for 3 years. Now, this is supposed to be a facility that protects women and children from men and especially from the men who has been doing domestic violence. So how this has happened is truly shocking. The fact that there'd been no discovery of it, there'd been not enough checkups to see, because if a man had been living in a shelter, there should be some evidence of it happening. Sightings of him coming in and out, his stuff being there, the kids telling somebody. So the husband had actually been living there for over 3 years. Apparently the husband claims to have not been involved. However, the strangulations had happened after an argument between the mother and the father, in which the father said that he hated the mother and that made the mother want to unalive herself. Now, what is the point of a domestic violence shelter if they're not protecting the women and the children? How has this man been allowed in there? And if she had got the power to move into this shelter, how had he managed to sneak in? Had he been there controlling her? Had he been threatening her? It truly is an awful situation. And I do want to make this video to kind of highlight that even though we do see online about how Japan is so safe and it's incredibly safe, you can walk outside at night, it's not safe for everybody and anything can happen at any time. So while it is safe for maybe me walking down the street, the chances of something happening to me is pretty low. There are people that you might know that could be very, very vulnerable. So please keep that in mind when you think about Japan and its safety. No place is perfect. And I'm so sad. As somebody who used to run a school that was just full of small children this age, it breaks my heart, honestly, to see how many things like this happen in Japan every single year. I mean, I think this is the third news article this month about children being unalived by adults. I think there was just a news story about a man who killed 2 kids as well. I just used the K word, sorry. But yeah, it's a pretty awful situation. Guys, I'll leave the article in the description below. I just wanted to make this video quickly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.